Welcome back to T. Shaw's Progressive Bluegrass. Thanks so much for coming back for more. I can't believe season 4 is already wrapping up. This season flew by so fast. It's been so much fun to share it with you, share my bluegrass adventures with you, my interviews with you. I can't thank you enough for listening, tuning in. Can't really use that term anymore, but I appreciate you being here. Thank you. With that being said, today's episode is going to be a recap of season 4. I'm going to take some segments from every episode, kind of give you a taste. If you missed any of the back episodes, you have an opportunity to go back and listen. They're all available on my website, wherever you enjoy listening to podcasts. But I'm going to give you a couple little clips from each episode. We're going to review some of the things that happened. Hopefully you've heard the episode, and this will just be a refresher recap. And if you haven't, hopefully it encourages you to go back and listen to that episode. So now we're going to go back to the first episode. For anybody that's been following me this season, I went to the Telluride Bluegrass Festival, and I was on the fence if I was going to go until I cleared the city limits. I drove, and it was quite the adventure, and I changed my mind 1,000 times. Should I go? Should I stay home? Should I not spend the money? It's a bucket list. Regardless, it was an ongoing theme of season 4. And we're going to go to do a quick little recap, quick tidbit from episode 1 of season 4. Let's see what else we got. I think it's safe to say the longest standing bluegrass festival with any significance is, I believe, since 1974. The Telluride Bluegrass Festival since 1974. It's the longest standing. Gray Fox, I believe, is runner-up, but they didn't start until 1984, 10 years later. Telluride's a bucket list festival for me. It's one I've always wanted to go to. I mean, obviously, it's in the mountains. It's gorgeous, beautiful from the pictures. It's also 1,600 miles from Chattanooga, so very difficult to drive to. That's a 3-day drive each way. And you could do it in 2 torturous days if you had multiple drivers. But it's not easy to fly to. If you fly into Denver, you've still got a 7-hour drive. So you got to rent a car, go 7 hours, and lodging's almost impossible. You have to camp. Even camping's not easy in Telluride because, of course, you get extreme temperatures, both cold and hot. So you have to have more than just light camping gear. It makes it a lot harder to fly when you got to have all that gear, or you got to pay for glamping and have it all set up for you in advance, which makes it really expensive. Just a ticket to the festival is over $400 with taxes and fees. So it's a very difficult fest to get to, but it's a bucket list dream fest. It's got huge history, but I'm excited to say Randy Steele and the High Cold Wind, Randy Steele's been on the podcast before a couple times actually, had amazing IBMA performances this last fall, but they are in the band contest for Telluride this year. If they don't win, I want to see the band that does win. I've got full faith they should be the favorites. Of course, I have no idea who else is participating, but I think I gotta go. I turned 50 this year, the big 50. I'm not getting any younger. I don't know how I'm going to get there. I haven't figured it out. I'm going to fly and rent a car and deal with camping gear, or am I going to drive? But probably going to be featured coming up, the Road to Telluride. Would love to have John Boulware, who is part of Randy Steele and High Cold Wind. He plays mandolin for them. Hopefully I can get him on here before Telluride. We can talk about that and how I'm going to come up with it. I don't know if I should do a crowdsourcing, sell T-shirts, sell hats, sell stickers. Is there some type of T-Shaw merch that you, my listeners, would enjoy? Let me know. Send me an email, progressivebluegrass@gmail.com. I got to find a way to get there. It's not cheap. But if they win, and I think they will, or some band that's really, really good, it's all going to be worth it. So that's my big goal for this season. If High Cold Wind doesn't, check this out. If High Cold Wind doesn't win, there's a couple other really good bands playing this year that I get to see as a consolation prize. All right. I made it. You know that by now. It was awesome. I drove. You know that by now. And if not, you now know. So, next up, Michael Pruitt of Crunchgrass Supreme. Did I say that right? I did. Okay. He's coming up next. Great conversation I had with Michael. He is a really entertaining guy. The whole episode is definitely worth going back to hear. Had some technical difficulties. I had to switch from video to audio only. So be patient. Stick with it if you're watching this. The video does come back after I'm done with Michael Pruitt. So don't change the channel. Don't tune off. I've got a couple other coming as well that are audio only, but we'll talk about that later. But great episode, and Michael is a fantastically entertaining guy to talk to. So let's jump in a little clip from that episode. But yes, that's Special Consent. Was that your first professional gig?
Pretty much, yeah. It was.
That's jumping right into the major leagues.
Yeah, well, and I don't know that there's a band that tours any more than Special Consensus either. So it's going from being home all the time to being gone all the time. I had started a sort of a band that was playing regionally. I had a band, but then for about a year, and then that was the first real pro level gig that I had. So yeah, pretty wild.
So Chris Jones introduced you to Special Consensus. How did you meet Chris Jones?
My sister and I were big Bluegrass little nerd kids growing up, and we somehow met Chris. We used to call in to the Sirius XM to his radio show and email and stuff, and somehow met him at IBMA.
Oh, head caller, you're on the air, huh?
That's right. I remember one time leaving a voicemail in a Lester Flatt impression voice, which haunts me to this day. That memory haunts me to this day.
You think he remembers it?
I hope not. Yeah, I hope not. Anyhow, we met him at an IBMA one year, and I was there so my school, when I went to middle school and high school, they had an after-school bluegrass band sponsored by the school district, which that's a whole other story we could talk about. But one of the things we would do is every year we would go to IBMA, and I met Chris there one year, and I guess just kind of kept up, on social media when I was older, on social media and stuff, sort of kept that relationship going. And one year, maybe 2018 or 2019, something like that, I mean, it wasn't quite an audition, I guess, but started being on the list of people to call for fill-in work, as mandolin player. I feel like at that time he was having quite a bit of fill-in work. Mark was in the band, of course, Mark Stoffel. But for some reason, I think he wasn't able to tour much that year or something. I don't remember. Anyway, it never happened, actually, because COVID happened. I was supposed to go on some tour, maybe in the Northeast or something, and COVID happened. So I didn't play that year. But when Greg reached out to Chris and was like, when Cahill reached out to Chris and was like, hey, we're looking for a mandolin player, he mentioned my name. So I call, I didn't answer it, because I didn't know the number. So I just got this voicemail one day that was like, hey, Michael, this is Greg Cahill, blah, blah, blah. And you know how your phone, an iPhone, at least will transcribe a voicemail, and
sure. Yeah.
And so it had his name.
What that done?
Yeah, I pulled it up. I didn't listen to it. I just pulled it up, pulled up the transcript. What bill collector is this, or what insurance scam is this? And it says this is Greg Cahill, but it spelled it with a K, and I was like, oh, haha, that's funny. Somebody, somehow in my mind, I'm like, that's funny. It's almost like Greg Cahill with a guy I know, or the guy I know of, And then I listened to it, and I was like, holy shit, this is actually Greg.
Greg Cahill.
Yeah, the Greg Cahill.
With a C.
With a C, yes. And yeah, he was like, basically, do you want this? You want to try out, but Chris vouches for you. Do you want this gig? And I had been working as a mail clerk for that year post COVID, and just playing a ton of gigs during the week. Just like not my ideal, not what I'm suited for. Just being super busy all the time and trying to work a full time
John
job.
Prine was a postal worker before
He
went
was,
pro.
yeah. I don't
So
know. There's something
that's a pretty good pedigree. Maybe
something
that's the
about
way.
yeah. You gotta sort enough mail to be able to be a songwriter or something. But anyway, I was like, it didn't take me 2 seconds to be like, yes, I'd love this gig. That's great.
Yeah.
And then
Sort
just kind of,
mail or be a professional musician.
yeah, tough choice, but I guess I'm
Well,
going to go with the
sorting mail
mandolin.
probably had benefits.
It did, yeah, it did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not that
Yeah.
many though.
Some sacrifices have to be made, right?
That's right. That's
Well,
right.
so when I saw
Less
you
paper
at
cuts.
And a couple of years before that, I had played a show in Nashville on Broadway. There was this bluegrass bar on Broadway. Man, and I can't think of the name of it, but they had bluegrass fairly regularly. It wasn't one of the big ones, but they would book a bluegrass band, and it's
I
just
had
local
no
people.
idea there was bluegrass on Broadway.
Well, I don't think it's there anymore. It didn't last. People, a bunch of bachelorettes would come in and make it through, about half of.
Screenplay Rocky Top.
Yeah, and then be like, well, okay, this ain't actually where the action is. But so it would just be local people, like on a Thursday night or something. You'd get a call every once in a while. Hey, can you play so and so? Is going to be out of town or whatever. So you just play stuff, as a grab bag of musicians. And I was playing there one day, and afterwards was walking back to the car, and there's a Taco Bell on Broadway, and I was with a couple. I think it was maybe Luke Mundy and who was it? Maybe I can't remember who the musicians were, but we were walking back to the car, and I passed the Taco Bell, and I'd had a few to drink at this point, so I was like, man, my life's goal, I think, is just going to be to play the Taco Bell on Broadway, because they have a stage there. They have a stage and a full drum kit and everything.
No
And,
way.
and I was like, man, I don't give a shit about the Grand Ole Opry. If I can just play the Taco Bell on Broadway,
You've
that's gonna be it.
arrived.
That's gonna be it for me. And I was like, I'd have to have a band though. I'd have to have a good band name, and I just came right out with I'd have to call it like Crunch Grass Supreme or something. And I was like, whoa, hold up, boys, don't steal that name, don't steal that name. And they were like, yeah, we're good, we're not gonna steal that name. And but anyway, when I never could think of anything better, so when I put the band together, I just called it that, and here we are.
Don't go taking my name, man. That's my band name. It's my band name. You can't have it. Well, it's out there now, so you probably can't have it. Anyway, great episode. Go back and listen. Okay, so now we're going to go to my Alex Geneva episode. Banjo player with Jason Carter Band, formerly Fireside Collective. This one was... I feel like I owe Alex an apology. It was a great show, but I'm still learning in this business, in the podcast world, and in fairness to him, or not in fairness to Alex, actually, I recorded this episode immediately after Corey Walker. Literally disconnected with Corey Walker, connected with Alex, and my software was still processing the Corey Walker episode. So it was going haywire. We couldn't get it to work. It was like trying to record over the Corey Walker episode. And so we switched to audio only. I ended up doing it over the phone because I couldn't get my software to work. And I spent the entire episode, the entire time interviewing Alex, wondering if I just lost my Corey Walker interview. And as I mentioned in the Corey Walker episode, it took over a year to get that episode lined up. It took a really long time. So I apologize, Alex. I may not have been in the best headspace, but we ended up salvaging a really good episode. And here is a clip. It's audio only, so stick with us. For those of you watching video right now, it will return. But here is a clip of, we'll call it a touring nightmare. I hope you enjoy it.
Do you have a good touring nightmare story where I'm sure you question all of
Yeah,
your
I've got
life's
a few.
decisions moving up to it?
I've got a few. One time, I've got some, I think they're mostly like, I haven't been touring with Jason long, and everybody else I've toured with has just been short stuff, but, toured with Fireside Collective for a long time, so I've got some from there. Nothing like long or too dramatic, but one was, I hope he's not angry about me for telling this, but we were going to stay at one of Tommy Marr's friends' houses,
Okay.
and he said he was leaving the door, unlocked for us, or leaving a key out or something. I
Oh
can't remember. And
no.
we went to the wrong house. And
Oh
it's like
no.
3 in the morning. Yeah, it's like 3 in the morning, and it was literally the house next door. And Tommy's like trying to open the door, and and some guy very angry comes out like just wearing like pajamas basically, and was like, "What the hell are you doing?" And
You were lucky you
I
didn't get shot at.
I know. We all were pretty freaked out. And then we had to pull the van out of the driveway and pull into the next door, the house next door. We left with Tommy's friend. We left a bunch of band merch and like CDs and a poster and stuff,
Your
and
neighbor
maybe an
hates you
apology
now. I'm
note.
so sorry.
Now he was like was kind of laughing about it the next day, and was fine, and was grateful that we was like thought it was nice that we left some merch and stuff for him. So uh, I guess it all ended up cool, but yeah, that's one that I always think of. Oh gosh.
Whoops. In the South, I think he's pretty lucky they survived that incident. Oops. Turns out the house they were looking for, I don't know if I'm allowed to say, but I don't know why it won it, was Travis Book's house with the infamous String Dusters. He was sharing the bluegrass love. But anyway, okay, so the next episode, John Boulware, part 1 of 2. Little introduction to John Boulware and the outrageous luck he lucked into his first guitar instructor. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the preparation on the way to Telluride. As I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, I was undecided if I was going to Telluride until the very last minute. And we recorded this episode before Telluride. The follow-up episode was after Telluride. We'll get into that in a little bit. But this may have been the final seal the deal, kick in the ass I needed to make Telluride happen. When I was editing this episode to get it ready to publish, I ended up skipping 2 Randy Steele and High Cold Wind concerts, local ones, including my favorite one at the Bus Bar. They play every year at the Bus Bar. It has camping. It's awesome. Different conversation, different day. So I could get this episode edited, I had to skip these 2 shows. And then I ended up the very next day, I got up and decided I really need to go to Telluride, packed the car, and got on the road. That was Sunday. So I left Sunday afternoon about 12:45. And this may have been the straw on the camel's back that convinced myself to go. So we're going to get a little introduction, who John Boulware is, and then we're going to talk about the road to Telluride. I hope you enjoy it. How did you get introduced to it?
Yeah, well, actually, growing up, my brother and I were taking music lessons. I'll back up a minute. We were in Boy Scouts. My brother was a hardcore Boy Scout, went on to be an Eagle, and my dad was a troop leader. So I was in Boy Scouts for a while with my brother, and we went to this camp out, and I saw a guy playing "Smoke on the Water" on the guitar. Ba, 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 da. And I thought that was the coolest thing I had ever seen in my life. The fact, because I had heard music. My mom listened to the local country station, and then my dad listened to the local classic rock station. So we had music going on, but I didn't know that music was a thing people did. I thought it was just something that came on the radio that you heard, or something you saw in a movie that you heard.
Yeah.
And then I saw a dude actually play guitar out in the wilderness, and I thought, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. I have got to do this. So I begged my parents for an acoustic guitar for my birthday, and they got me one. And after hearing just, so many weeks of TV jingles and whatever else I could pick out by ear, they were like, I can't stand this anymore. We have to get him some lessons. So we went down to the, I was living in Kimball, Tennessee at the time, and we went down to the local music store in South Pittsburgh called the Opera House Music, which is actually an old opera house. It's a really cool building. But anyway, we just went there, bought a guitar, went there, just got lessons from whoever the guy was who happened to be teaching. And the guy that happened to be teaching there is actually a phenomenal guitar player named Cody Kilby. I couldn't have just stumbled into better luck.
How lotto luck winning
Oh, yeah.
is that?
Absolutely.
How old were you at this point?
I was 11.
Okay. Well, obviously, you had mentioned your fiddle contests, and coming up,
Mhm.
Randy Steele and the High Cold Wind are going to enter the Telluride band competition at, I believe it's the 41st Telluride Bluegrass Festival. And I don't know if you've familiarized yourself with some of the previous winners, but this is potentially a really big deal. Do you know who you're competing against at this point, or is it just
I don't
you
think
show
we
up
will
and
know until
we'll find out then?
Yeah, I think we'll have to just find out then. I mean, honestly, I kind of like that. It's like a fiddle contest. You get there, and you don't know who's gonna show up that day, and you get to see like, oh, did you know so and so was here? Oh, I just saw what's his name, and it's just kind of cool to get to see who you run into at these things. And I kind of like that mysterious part of it. That's one of my favorite parts about festivals is getting there, and not knowing what you're getting into.
Have you been to Telluride?
I never have. No, I've never been west of Texas, so I'm very excited to go out to Telluride and to see. any of Colorado.
Wow.
We're actually playing a couple of things on the way
Wow.
out there, so it'll be nice. We're gonna swinging through Denver and then going up to Telluride, so that'll be fun.
Fantastic. It's I've never been either. It's a bucket list festival, and
Awesome.
I know you've heard me talk about it. I'm still trying to find a way to pull it off.
Absolutely. I hope to see you there if we can.
Just depends on the time of day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to figure that out. But when you guys, I assume you made the decision as a group because it's a big deal. It's 1,600 miles away. It's not easy to get to. I assume you made the decision as a band, hey, let's do this. This could be an amazing opportunity. Unfortunately, the band contest, you're covering your own fees and expenses, and you even have to buy a ticket to the festival.
Right.
It's not like a other festival where you're paid to be there. No, you're paying to be there.
Right.
It's a privilege. If I remember the structure, but I believe round one is three 3-minute songs, correct? Does that sound right?
I think it might be 10 minutes total, and then you just have however long to play those 3 songs. I know that's how it is with some of the Texas fiddle competitions, a lot of the Western things, Oklahoma and all that. A lot of them say you have this many minutes on stage, you have this long to play 3 songs. So you don't necessarily have to cut one short or whatever, but you got to be off the stage by this time.
10 minutes, start to finish, 3 songs.
Mm-hmm.
And then I believe if you advance the second round, it's probably 7 minutes or something, because I want to say it said 2 songs.
Okay.
How did you guys know right away what songs you wanted to play, or was there a lengthy discussion and experimentation? And I don't want to know what the songs are.
Sure.
Right? It's a secret as far as I'm concerned.
That's fair.
But yeah, what was the process kind of going through narrowing those down, or was it instantaneous?
No, it wasn't instantaneous. We definitely have had to put a little bit of thought into it. With Justin, the bass player, Brad, the guitar player, myself, and Randy on banjo, and Randy writing all of the things, we've been playing together for so long that we just know a lot of Randy's songs. And Randy, as you know, because you know Randy, is a really good songwriter. So he has a lot of good ones. So when we were thinking about which ones we were going to do, it was not that easy of a decision not because we didn't have enough songs, but because we had a lot of things that would work. I believe the rules for at least this first round are that you have to do 1 fast tune, 1 slow tune, and 1 instrumental. And Randy has written fast tunes and slow tunes and instrumentals. So we have plenty of material to work from. So basically our task is figuring out which one of those offer the most bang for the buck, so to speak. Which one of those are going to be the most impressive in a competition. And honestly, I probably have more competition experience than anyone in the band. So they've been asking me a little bit like, what works? What do we do this time? And just kind of figuring out how competitions work, because some of those guys have never entered any music competitions. I know that Randy has entered a lot of songwriting competitions, but we've kind of been having to think through this strategically. And I think a large part of why I was so successful in my contest career is because I knew how to play the game. I knew what the judges were looking for, and I knew to play to my strengths. And whereas some people would go out there and just play something as fast as they could do, I knew that if I went out there and I played something a little bit slower but put some good groove into it and played it really clean, that would score more points than just blasting off playing 180 miles an hour. So we've kind of been thinking about this a little bit strategically as far as what songs we think would go together and which songs we think are impressive and which songs we think we just want to go do because we love those songs. There are a certain number of songs that we just love playing, no matter who wants to hear them, just because we like playing them. And I think it's kind of a careful blend in a competition between being uniquely yourself and playing to the judges.
So 10 minutes, 3 songs, all originals, round 1.
Okay.
And then if you advance to round 2, how do you decide you want to save your best songs for round 2, but you also want to make sure you advance to round 2? Did you have a lot of concerns? Do you open with your 3 best songs? Or do you reserve a couple? How did you make that kind of decision, thought process?
So when I was growing up, again, in fiddle contests, this is something that, oddly enough, we haven't really talked about as a band, but when I was growing up in fiddle contests, I lost a contest because I didn't have enough songs. I got through the preliminary round into the finals, and I tied in the finals. This was early on in my fiddle contest days. And in the finals, first and second were so close that they said, shoot, let's just make it a tie and make them play again. And when they did that, I did not have a song ready. I had songs 1, 2, and 3 ready. I had songs 4, 5, and 6 ready. I did not have a 7. And because of that, I lost that contest. So my advice as an experienced competition goer, I have advised the band, we got to have everything ready to go. Have some backup tunes. Don't go there with just enough, because it won't be enough. You know, you want to have more than enough material ready to go. And I feel like good bands don't have a problem with that. I've also seen other people do that in competitions where they'll get there and same thing, they enter a tie and they just don't know what to do because they already played their good songs. So the absolute best strategy is just have more good songs. But
gotta have a full bench.
Yeah. But it doesn't necessarily mean a catalog of like 40 of your greatest hits. We're not the Eagles or something. But we want enough tunes that are clean enough, that are rehearsed enough to where we can go and just knock it out. And if we need a couple more tunes, we got a couple left that we can just whip out and play just as well.
So is it possible that there's still potential tweaks or changes to your set list? Or at this point, no, these are the ones we're going to run with?
At this point, we've pretty much decided on a handful of tunes that we're going to run with. But I like leaving the door open. Part of my strategy of having backup songs to play in a contest was due to the fact that I might wake up one day and just think, you know what, this song's not working for me. Let me revert to something else. And when you have extra options, you can do that. But if you don't have any extra tunes, then you have to go with whatever the set list says. So I think right now our set list is pretty set. What's funny is we've practiced them all equally well to the point we don't know which one is going to be our preliminary set and which one's going to be our finals set. So we're still kind of trying to figure out, because the thing is, you want to practice everything well enough to be a tune that can win the thing, right?
You want to win all the rounds,
Right.
not just the first one.
Yeah, so you don't want to, and I've seen people play it safe. I've seen people say, well, I want to save my best tunes for the finals, so they play their less than best stuff for the preliminaries, and then they don't make it to the finals. And I've seen people kind of blow it early and they just play all of the best stuff up top. They make it to the finals, but then they don't have the gas to get forward through that round. So again, ideally, you want to have enough songs that could all be your best song. But it's just strategy. It's just trying to figure out how well you know each other, how well you know the music, how well you know music in general, and just your own kind of automatic ability to just muscle memory your way through the thing and not worry about messing up.
That's amazing. And then if you win, you get to play the main stage in front of everybody, correct?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. If you win, you get a guaranteed spot at the festival next year.
I think you get to play the main stage for a song or two this year, too. I think the top two.
Actually,
Play
yeah,
the main
now
stage
that you
this
mentioned
year.
that does ring a bell. That would be a
Okay.
great possibility. We would love to do that. Our goal is to go up there and win.
All right. We'll get back to John Boulware later because he comes back after the Telluride Festival. A lot of fun to get into, but good grief, did he score big having his first guitar instructor be Cody Kilby. So now we're going to talk to Jared Poole. Jared Poole is one of the coolest cats I know. He has spent 9 of the last 10 years playing with Larry Keel and Larry Keel Experience, Electric Larry Land, Larry Keel and the Smoking Jays, and on, and was really excited when we finally got the chance to sit down and talk. Unfortunately, this is another one that's going to be audio only, so stick with it for you video people. But what a great guy to talk to.
I mean, obviously legendary.
Oh,
Man.
everyone in the McCurry camp, in the band, across their whole crew, they're the best.
Yes. Yes. No argument at all. It actually reminds me, I'm telling a lot of my own stories this episode, my apologies, but it reminds me,
I love it.
Kat and I were on vacation one time and just goofing around, having a beer on the beach, talking about the ultimate bluegrass pickup team. And if we could just randomly put together a team, who would be on the team? And we had a couple rules. You couldn't pick Billy Strings,
Okay.
and you couldn't have multiple members from a single band. You can only, if you pull one member out of a band, that band is now off limits for your remaining draft picks. And my number one pick was Ronnie McCurry. And Kat, I don't remember if it was the number one pick. I bet I actually had that list handy. I could verify. Let's see. Kat's number one pick was you.
Hell yeah, Kat.
So we both picked the mandolin player as our top draft pick. But it's just funny that was the story you mentioned as the initial pinch me moment, because it directly coincides to our draft choices that day.
Wow. That's really funny, man.
And, I mean, we took all things into aspects. Well, we got to have people that can sing. We got to have people that can play each instrument. We each had a guitar player and a fiddle player. But you and Ronnie were top number one draft picks.
That's extremely flattering.
She'll get excited to hear that story too. I'm sure that was a lot of fun. It's funny because one other thing, and we've been embarrassed about it ever since, was because we were kind of talking draft, we had baseball on the mind. And instead of spelling bass for the bass player selection, it was BASE on the napkin. And we took a picture of it and published it on Facebook before we noticed.
Ain't no spell check when you actually write it down, man. So it happens.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We were just writing it on bar napkins, and neither one of us caught
it. Could be bass players.
Now that you got me talking about it, her picks were Jared Poole, John Stickley on guitar, Max Johnson on bass, Robbie McCurry on banjo, and G-Grass for fiddle.
Oh man, let's get this band together. That sounds
How
awesome.
about it? And then my team was, I had Ronnie McCurry on mando, Travis Book on bass, Kyle Tuttle on banjo, Michael Cleveland on fiddle, and Larry Keel on guitar.
Yeah, put that shit on the road, man. That'd be that sounds like a good little run.
Or we got to get all those bands together at a single festival and have side projects. Have like the Super
Aiken
Bowl
style.
championship of bluegrass or something.
That was like the Aiken Bluegrass style, man.
Yeah. There's been some super groups there for sure.
And I feel like there was that guitar jam. I know it was at least like Larry, Stickley, Billy, and Vince, and I mean it was
Guitar Mageddon.
Yeah, it was. I think Falco was up there too. I mean, it was dumb, like it's like
I think I got one of those videos too. Let's do it. Let's make it happen. That'd be a lot of fun.
I love it, man.
The logistics of getting everybody together.
It's easier than you think, but it winds up being hard.
I mean, yeah, you can get some of the pieces to fall into place, but it's hard to get all the pieces to fall into place. So,
ain't that the truth?
Herding cats.
Obviously, that ended up being more about me telling a story than Jared. My bad. But I will say one of the benefits to that being audio only and not being videoed was that conversation was completely unplanned. I didn't even think of it until he mentioned Ronnie McCurry. And because I was recording over the phone, I could walk through the house and I knew where that napkin with the teams was placed. So I was able to carry on the interview and walk to find it and then find it. So completely unscheduled, unplanned, and unique that I could not have pulled that off had we been filming. So there's that. Now we're actually going to have a conversation, or Jared's actually going to tell us a story, and I won't speak as much about the time he played with Peter Rowan. This is great.
Peter Rowan was playing there, and I happen to know the owner, Emily and Greg Howe. Greg was a great bass player, and he had us out, and we wound up being Peter's band for the last half of the night.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and Peter kind of leaned over to me and asked me if I wanted to sing In the Pines with him, and I'm like, like sure, man.
If you're asking.
Yeah, it's like I don't even know if I know the words. Luckily, I remembered every verse, and he sang the tenor on it and made me sing the lead, and I was just freaking out, man.
Oh, can't even imagine.
And then I think we did like Walls of Time together and Midnight Moonlight, so it was like all the hits. Whereas before, I wasn't singing lead with him, man. Like him taking the tenor, like that was a pretty special, like just intimate time with him, man. And then just got to chat with him for like hours after the show, and he was just so kind and such a great spirit.
That's really special, no doubt. Peter Rowan is a living legend.
Yeah, he just kind of, he doesn't even like really walk. He just like floats in and out. And I don't even know how to describe it.
I think you just did.
Yeah, it's like a plume of smoke, and it's Peter. And it's
absolutely.
Yeah.
Poof. Peter. So now I've got coming up, I got Ange Way from Omni Arts Group. This is a really fun, entertaining episode because we get to talk the business of bluegrass. She does festival promotions, artist management, the full 9 yards. Go back and listen to the episode. But one of the cool things that I asked about, in my opinion, maybe you don't think it's cool, wanted to hear about riders, bands, riders for festivals and whatnot. So here we go. Ange Way from Omni Arts Group.
I can tell you some crazy riders, but man,
I would love some crazy rider stories.
Sometimes, like, so I guess there was this one band that would throw in a DVD, a certain movie, just to kind of like throw people off to see if they're actually like reading the riders. I've seen riders that are pages and pages and pages long. And you're just like, I mean, even if it's a bigger band, like, how do you need, or how do you even use so much stuff? Very specific kinds of peanut butter and jelly, or like things like that are just like, I don't know. And then you go in and there's all these things that they don't touch. The peanut butter and jelly, though, the specific, kinds, that was definitely used.
I had to drive 4 counties over 125
Yeah.
miles away to get that peanut butter.
Apparently,
And you
it was
didn't even
they
open
really
it.
needed it. Yeah, yeah. Well, there's definitely some things like that. But generally, for festivals, if you ask for a festival rider, they will clean a lot of that up for you. So we definitely have learned that. I worked at a fest. Oh my gosh, it only happened a couple years, and it was the craziest. I did hospitality for that festival, and they didn't let me. Someone else did the shopping, and I basically got into. They just put it all in a big, like, U-Haul trailer, and didn't let me into it until the night before. It was the craziest, and there was bands, Salmon and Sam Bush and Keller and Dusters, and I thought I like cried because it was so much work, and it was like multi-day. So if you can imagine all of those big bands and all of it just being shoved together and me having to organize it all, that was a crazy festival. It was a beautiful spot.
Definitely go back and check out that episode. There's a lot of interesting things, and the underlying theme: buy tickets, support your local venues, spread the love. That's all I ask. Actually, I lied. It's not all I ask. I ask if you need a mortgage, a refinance, or a home equity line of credit, you keep me in mind. I'm currently licensed in Tennessee, Georgia, and Colorado. I am looking to expand as long as I have some advance notice. I would love to help you. NMLS number 929381, and we'll now take this opportunity to have a message from me, our sponsor.
1, 2. It's a big purchase, it's a big deal. Trevor Shaw knows exactly how you feel for refinance or a new home. Trevor Shaw will help you get your loan. Trevor Shaw will help you get your loan.
Hello, I'm Trevor Shaw. I'm not just a Bluegrass aficionado. I'm a Bluegrass aficionado that's a mortgage loan officer at Chat Mortgage in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I'd be honored for the opportunity to help you get your residential mortgage loan or refinance anywhere in Tennessee and Georgia. From veterans using their hard-earned benefits to first-time home buyers needing down payment assistance to retirees finally getting the home they've always dreamed of. Call or text me today at 864-50-T-SHAW. That's 864-50-T-SHAW.
It's a big purchase, it's a big deal. Trevor Shaw knows exactly how you feel for refinance or a new home. Trevor Shaw will help you get your loan. Trevor Shaw will help you get your loan.
Chat Mortgage is powered by Almeida Mortgage Corporation, NMLS number 271603. Chat Mortgage is located at 6205 Lee Highway, Suite 301, Chattanooga, Tennessee, 37421. Phone number 423-591-9801. Trevor Shaw, NMLS number 929381. So, coming up now, going back to the Telluride theme. Telluride was an awesome, life-changing experience, and I'm so glad I did it, and maybe I'll do it again one day. But I did research on the weather and was not prepared for how hot 75 degrees is at 10,000 feet. I didn't have my sunshade, and my neighbors ended up saving my butt. Really appreciate it. Shared the sunshine and thought, you know what, these guys would be a lot of fun and entertaining to have on the podcast because the fans are part of progressive bluegrass as well. Bluegrass in general. Without the fans, we'd have no bluegrass, or at least not as we know it today. So coming up, a brief conversation with Jeremy Tabor, Joe Harrison, and Ben Salaman. I hope you enjoy it. A lot of fun. What has been for all of you, not just this last year, but maybe every year at Telluride, who's been your favorite discovery that you found at Telluride for the first time?
I'll take the layup before these guys can talk. Town Park, a campground that's right next to the main venue, right next to where we were staying in Warner Field. For reference for the folks listening, there's a few different campgrounds as part of this festival. There's a couple that are probably a half a mile, close to a mile up the road past downtown. and then there's a couple super close to the venue itself. So in years past, we've stayed at the ones where you have to shuttle in. This was, I believe, our collective first year staying at Warner Field, closer to the venue. So in all of our eyes, it
Wow.
unlocked a brand new experience with Town Park. And, you know, we joked around. It's like the LinkedIn or the networking event for bluegrass players. You're seeing people who may or may not even have tickets to the festival walking around with their instrument cases just looking to play, meet someone new, get better. So that was head and shoulders probably the most exciting discovery in my eyes. I've never seen anything like that, and I don't think I ever will outside of Telluride.
And I'm guessing you're maybe more referring to musical groups that are that we've discovered at Telluride. Is that accurate,
Oh,
Trevor?
Um, maybe initially that was my thought, but no. I mean, there's
I took it in real.
you titled this group Off the Rails, so run with what you're thinking.
Well, music discovery. You know what? Clay Street Unit, man. I've been playing them since we got back, and they rip. And I know it's not necessarily pure bluegrass, but yeah, that one's been on repeat on the Spotify lately for sure.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, and I guess to tie the two together, Ben, the fact that you get to go discover Town Park and that some of these artists are coming in after hours to come play amongst, you know, peer groups of peers, I think it's fun to see artists you know and love play in a different setting, play in a more intimate setting, play in a more sort of just kind of casual and impromptu setting is really a fun way to see artists you already know and love. So I think that is pretty cool. But for me personally, I think my best discovery coming out of Telluride was probably Bela Fleck. Back in the day, because I did not really listen to Bela Fleck. I didn't really. I think if I had maybe even listened to some, I don't know, some of the top Bela Fleck songs, I don't know that I would have necessarily loved it, but it was so fun to watch Bela Fleck play. And there was, I don't know if maybe the set we saw, he was just ripping and it was fast grass or what, as opposed to some of the calmer, folkier stuff that he does. But that was a blast. And so I came out of that with a brand new discovery. And then I think there was, last time we were there, we saw
Was
Sierra
that the
Farrell.
My Bluegrass Heart tour that you're referring to? Does that ring a
Um,
bell?
it would have been, it would have been,
Before
it,
that, I think.
it would have been before that. Yeah. Because this
Okay.
probably was like 6 years ago that I first saw Bela Fleck and kind of latched on. But I think last time we were there, I saw and had already known who Sierra Farrell was, but seeing Sierra Farrell and then coming out, I just like could not stop listening to Sierra Farrell. And so that wasn't a discovery as much as it was just sort of a realization of how deeply I actually liked that music and appreciated
Mhm.
her. So those are my two. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, she definitely was one that I was thinking of as well. Her set was phenomenal and she just has such a charisma on stage. So anytime I could get the chance to see her, I would definitely go catch her shows again. I was lucky enough that the first year I went, the very last act closing out was Sturgill Simpson, and he's been somebody that I've continued to listen to over the years and have seen a few times. But watching him close out the
Did
main
he do his
stage the first time
cutting
I
the
was
grass
there,
set?
he didn't do a full cut in the grass set. It was a very hybrid between, he was doing a little bit of everything, some of his country stuff, some more bluegrass stuff, but I didn't really know much about who he was, but he just was, I just remember leaving that, seeing him and being like, I'm pretty sure that's probably top three best guitar players I've ever seen in my life. He was so phenomenal. So that was
Wow.
one for sure.
Wow.
But I think overall, I would say that like I wasn't huge into bluegrass until after Telluride. So pretty much all these staple bands that are there always I've gotten into over the years and have found even more and more niches of just, you know, of bluegrass in general. So having gone from my first time to this most recent time and knowing all of these bands are 75% of them there and like, oh yeah, I've seen Sam Bush 5 times now and left over 7 times outside of Telluride as well. And just having the experience of being able to fall into bluegrass through this festival is what I would cherish the most.
That was a lot of fun. True story. That was the first time I've ever had a video with multiple interviewers or interviewees, 3 people at one time, and I was actually shocked go back and listen. Of course, I was actually shocked that we did a really good job of not talking over each other. It was minimal. So anyway, now we're getting back to Telluride, or continuing Telluride at this point. John Boulware, part 2 of 2, where we briefly talk about the band contest itself, Telluride Bluegrass Band Contest Championship, however we should refer to it. Hope you enjoy.
So you get downtown to where the band contest is at, and everybody draws a number out of the hat, and you got number 1.
Yeah, we did. And there's in contests, there's like this whole, oh, I hope I don't draw first. I hope I don't draw first kind of thing. And we just had seconds before just said, how funny would it be if we went up there and drew first? And Brad went up there and drew a number out of a hat and brought it back, and it just had a 1 on it. And they were all just mortified. They're like, oh, I can't believe we have to go first. Oh, man, any other number but first. And I told him, I said, when I was playing contests back in the day, I didn't mind going first. In fact, I volunteered to go first sometimes. Just because the order, as far as the judging goes, the order shouldn't matter. They're not going to give you extra points because you went first, or they're not going to detract anything. But you do have to, they figure out their scale a little bit better as they go along, the judges do, or whatever. But if they're being fair about it, they kind of know what they're going to give you based on how you play. It doesn't really matter what order you play in. It is a little bit intimidating just because you have to go up there and set the bar, and other people may come and just blow you away, or maybe you go up there and knock it out and you're still king of the hill for a little while or something. But again, it doesn't change the job. You still go up there, you still play the same music you were going to anyway, you still just knock people's socks off and just have a great time, regardless of what number you draw. So again, it goes back to the mental game, the psychological aspect of having to not get in your own way, not getting nervous because you drew number 1, when in fact number 1 doesn't really mean anything. So it's all about just doing the same thing that you do anyway. There were a lot of times growing up, and I even saw some of this at the festival, where people are just furiously like practicing something before they go on stage. And at the end of the day, it's one of those things, if you don't have it by now, maybe you don't have it.
You're not going to get it.
So your goal is to just practice these things enough ahead of time to where you don't have to worry about what you're supposed to do. You already know what you're supposed to do. You already know what songs you're going to do. You already know what parts you're going to play on those songs. And it really is just going up there and doing your job. So the number 1 entry spot didn't work against us at all. But it was funny because everybody dreads pulling number 1, and we just happened to do it. It's comical when that happens.
Can speak from witnessing a direct that after all the other bands, how you go first, they got a little more nervous. That's for sure.
Right. And actually later on, after that round, I think it was Randy that said, I'm kind of glad we went first because then we didn't have to listen to all these other bands and get nervous about playing against them or whatever. We just got to go up there and do our thing and get it out of the way. And I think there's merit to that. But again, it's just you go up there, do your job, whatever number you pull, that's what you just still do the same thing.
So after you performed, you started to talk briefly about it. You had a few hours, I think, a couple of hours before the winners were announced. Were you able to go get lunch at this point, or what did you do just to calm the nerves, or were you even nervous at that point, or maybe you're just like, it is what it is?
I didn't really get nervous about it. I got excited about it. I was having a great time. But Randy was definitely just pacing the floor and just kind of nervous about the next round. And he would listen to people and be like, man, these guys are so good. Again, and there were times where people got a little bit nervous and freaked out or whatever. But some of us went and grabbed a bite to eat in between just because we had, like you said, we had several hours. You might as well. And I don't think Randy wanted to eat during that time. He grabbed something later. But yeah, it was, like I said, that's one of my favorite times is just getting to watch the other bands play and kind of see what I'm up against, and then waiting around is kind of like waiting in line for a new movie that's just coming out or whatever. You get excited to hear the results.
Right. Yeah. All right.
Again,
Obviously,
speaking for myself, not necessarily for the rest of the band. I can only speak for myself.
Sure. Understood. We'll get them on here one of these days.
There you go.
Okay, so come back out, ready for the announcement. You guys got called to advance very first, right out of the gate. I'm sure Randy had a huge sigh of relief.
Yes. A literal
You're
sigh.
advancing.
Yes.
You are playing on the main stage the next day. You've advanced. Now at this point, what's going through your mind? Are you back into preparation mode, or you're like, whatever it is, what it is? We've already know what we're playing. Let's go enjoy the fest. But
A little of both.
what was the thought process after that?
A little of both. So again, to an extent, we already kind of know what we're going to do. The only real question the whole time was which songs do we play in which round? So one of the things that happens in contests is if you have enough songs for both rounds, and you should if you're planning to get in the finals, do I play my best songs right up front to make sure that I get into the finals? Or do I save my best songs for the next round so that I can, once I get in the finals, I can win that?
Seal the deal.
And it's a gamble as to what you do there. And my whole philosophy has always just been, if you don't get in the finals, then it doesn't matter. So, so your first job is to get into the finals. But we stacked our set list for the 2 rounds pretty well, I think. And so once we got into the next round, we kind of already knew what we were going to do. But there still was the option, hey, at any point we could swap out this song for another song if we're not feeling great about it, or if we feel like something else would be stronger. Nothing's chiseled in stone yet. But at that point, we got to see a couple of things. One, we had already seen all of the other bands play, so we knew who all else was out there at that point. We knew what we were up against.
Yeah.
But also, at that point, we had heard the top 4 bands that they had promoted to the finals, which means we now have a little bit of information as to what the judges are looking for. So you can use, these bands made it, these bands didn't, to kind of see a little bit what you should be shooting for.
Now we can talk about the main event, the contest itself. Of course, by now everybody is aware, at least anybody who's following T. Shaw's Progressive Bluegrass, you play second, which is nothing
Correct,
to say.
yeah. We did.
That you got a small cash prize, probably paid for half the gas.
Something
I'm
like
sure
that,
Randy
yeah.
appreciated that.
Of course.
And a band contest is unlike any other thing. Comparing musicians is really impossible to do. But bands in
Right.
general, I think when you say a band is better than another band, you may enjoy a band more than another band. Or maybe they sell more tickets or they won more awards, but it's impossible to say one band is better than another band except
Exactly.
in a contest. And is it really better, or it's just they scored differently? And some of the criteria involved in a band contest doesn't necessarily apply to a live performance, whether it was, I don't know all the categories. I know harmonies was one of the categories, and it's all in the ear of the beholder.
It is. It is. The only reason you can even score things at all in a competition is because you have predetermined scoring categories. And some people may not like whatever they chose to be a criteria. Some people would say, oh, vocal harmonies aren't everything. We played fast enough. We should get it because we were faster than everybody else. That's one criteria, but the criteria you have to shoot for are the ones that were set in these particular rules. So that's kind of how the judges work. They, again, like you said, they may like one band more than another band. They may appreciate this group's songwriting more than this one. Or they may like this band's instrumentation better than this one. But if that particular band was a little bit sloppy and they were missing notes and they were kind of out of tune and you have these other things that pile up, you have to mark off those things on the score. And it doesn't matter how much you really like that band, you're judging essentially an objective criteria and not a subjective one. There always is subjectivity because it's being judged by humans.
Sure.
But the whole goal is to be, when judging something like this, is to be as objective as possible and to adhere to those predetermined criteria. So as a competitor, your goal, your job is to try to fit those criteria as well as you can, try to score as high as you can in each of those categories. So if you have some really hot, cool, fast tunes or whatever, but you're a little bit sloppy, you're not going to score as high on the technical execution category or criteria, for instance. So you really kind of have to play the game a little bit, read the rules, and kind of find what the judges will be looking for. And most of the time in good band contests, those objective criteria that they pick are a pretty good even balance of something that should be at this festival. For instance, a lot of contests will have an authenticity category. If it's a bluegrass contest and somebody gets up there with an electric guitar like a Jackson from the 80s and they're playing all these sweeping shred metal licks, that's not the point of this particular contest. It's not.
Sure.
It doesn't fit the
Sure.
authenticity of what we're going for here. So, as cool as it is, you got to mark it down, right? So it's about playing to the actual criteria that are set up in the rules, and usually those criteria are pretty appropriate for the festival that's going on. And like I said, they usually tend to be fairly objective in the way that you can say these people missed more notes than these people, so they get a lower score, respectively.
Well, and you don't see the final score. You don't know. The Litch brothers were fantastic. I'm not
They
going to
were
argue that
fantastic.
fact at all. They were fantastic. And I think everybody who made it to the finals could, on any given day, have walked away as the winning band.
Absolutely,
But
yeah.
do we know? There's no way it wasn't really close. Is there? They scored 99 and you scored 98. Is there any knowledge of the scoring
In this
or
particular
how
case, I
close it
don't think
was?
so. In some contests,
Okay.
particularly with the individual categories, you can actually go ask what your score was. If you see the judges around, you can just go ask them, "Hey, can we see our scores?" And they have them somewhere that you can just go look at them. I was at this past weekend. I was at the Smithville Fiddlers Convention. I play in the house band up there for all the dance categories. But in the individual categories for that, they actually have them posted out behind the stage, so you can just go up and see what your score was versus what somebody else's score was. They don't have it broken up into the criteria, but you can at least go see what your score was to
You
so
can
you
see
can
how
know,
close it was.
see how close it was, something like that. Yeah. So so things like that are it's sometimes a thing at festivals. In this case, I don't think it was. I think it was just we never saw the judges. We don't know who the judges were. I'm sure that they are highly qualified, but we didn't really have any kind of access to any kind of post-mortem questions or score reviews or anything like that.
It could have been second by 1 point. It could have been second by 20 points. Have no idea.
Exactly. Have no idea.
I'm going to go with 1 point.
Sounds good to me.
Prove me wrong.
There you go. Yeah.
Well, congratulations on that. I
Thank
think.
you.
No,
As
I
you
mean,
said, the Litch brothers were awesome. All four bands in the finals round were incredible, and that was one of the fun parts to me. Is, to be honest, it would not have been as much fun if we went up there and killed it and did a great job, and the other bands were just kind of okay.
That was such a fun episode. I mean, you got the play-by-play of the Telluride Bluegrass Band Contest. Definitely go back, check it out. John Boulware, part 2 of 2. If you didn't see John Boulware, part 1 of 1, listen to that one first. So now we're starting to wrap up season 4. My most recent episode was my interview with Corey Walker. Corey Walker is one of the funniest guys in bluegrass. Pretty dry humor, but this particular conversation, when I asked how Thanksgiving dinner goes down, takes the cake. When you enjoy this, which I'm sure you will, go back and listen to the entire episode. So much fun. Okay, that makes sense. And then, so one of my biggest curiosities, because your entire family is a musician of some sort, how does Thanksgiving go down? Is there any smack talk going down when it comes to Thanksgiving? You actually sit down and eat a dinner before the instruments come out? What's kind of the insight on that?
Well, I always say before we pray for Thanksgiving dinner, for example, I always say, attention everyone, thanks for being here. I just want to say that I'm a much better musician than my brother Jared and better than Tyler. And I appreciate you guys understand that and still being cool to have us all at the table together, to have a meal together, because it's not about all that stuff. But yeah, that's generally how it starts. We kind of started off like that, and I say thank you so much for being here, and then I like maybe I'll like nod. I'll look over at Jared and like nod, you know, and acknowledge that he still came to the dinner, even though I'm a much better musician. So.
And they're both your little brothers, correct?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's right.
So for a while, at least, you were bigger, I imagine.
I was bigger, but then Jared was like around, I would say, I don't know, when I was 14 or 15 and he was 13, he was basically as big as me. And then he got bigger.
Well,
And then I kind of caught up a little bit.
And the banjo being your primary instrument's heavier than a mandolin.
It is. It is. And
So
that's one
potentially
thing
a
that
more
he doesn't
effective.
think of. It's like I'm working on like different muscle groups every single night, you know. So he needs to think about that. At least uh, before this next Thanksgiving.
The nod. The nod knowing that you're still willing to be civil and have dinner together. No food fights. The whole interview is awesome. Go back and listen if you haven't. It was my most recent episode. It's a lot of fun. Corey Walker's a really entertaining guy to talk to, and he's got some great stories and conversation. So that's it. That's season 4 of T. Shaw's Progressive Bluegrass. This season has been a whirlwind, and I can absolutely promise you 100% guarantee the off season between now and the start of my next season will be much, 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 much shorter than my previous off season. It's August already, and coming up in October, we've got IBMA. And if you remember from last season, I have a lot of coverage opportunities for IBMA, a lot to talk about with IBMA. So we're going to be back sooner than later. It's going to be better than ever. I really hope you enjoyed today's episode and have listened to the previous episodes. If not, here's your opportunity. Go back, check it out. All the seasons are available. Would love it if you tell your friends, tell your family, tell anybody who you might think would enjoy T. Shaw's Progressive Bluegrass. Get the word out. Leave a review, especially if it's positive. Would love that as well. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. If you like what you're hearing, if you're enjoying listening to T. Shaw's Progressive Bluegrass, the best way you can support me is to inquire about a mortgage in Tennessee, Georgia, or Colorado. As I've mentioned before, I'm looking to expand. Let me know. I would be honored to help with a purchase mortgage, a refinance, a home equity line of credit. I'd be happy to talk to you about it all. NMLS number 929381. You can reach me at 864-50-T-SHAW. That's 864-50-T-SHAW. And let me help you live your home dreams if you dream about these things. Now, thanks again for listening to T. Shaw's Progressive Bluegrass. And if you please don't mind, stick around for a brief message from our sponsor, me. Until next time, next season, thanks again for listening to T. Shaw's Progressive Bluegrass.
It's a big purchase, it's a big deal. Trevor Shaw knows exactly how you feel for refinance or a new home. Trevor Shaw will help you get your loan. Trevor Shaw will help you get your loan.
Hello, I'm Trevor Shaw. I'm not just a bluegrass aficionado. I'm a bluegrass aficionado that's a mortgage loan officer at Chat Mortgage in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I'd be honored for the opportunity to help you get your residential mortgage loan or refinance anywhere in Tennessee and Georgia. From veterans using their hard-earned benefits to first-time home buyers needing down payment assistance to retirees finally getting the home they've always dreamed of. Call or text me today at 864-50-T-SHAW. That's 864-50-T-SHAW.
It's a big purchase, it's a big deal. Trevor Shaw knows exactly how you feel for refinance or a new home. Trevor Shaw will help you get your loan. Trevor Shaw will help you get your loan.
Chat Mortgage is powered by Almeida Mortgage Corporation, NMLS number 271603. Chat Mortgage is located at 6205 Lee Highway, Suite 301, Chattanooga, Tennessee 37421. Phone number 423-591-9801. Trevor Shaw, NMLS number 929381.